Well, thanks, Adrian, for being here. I appreciate you being on the Homegrown Hunter TV.
No problem, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Well, folks, I'm here with Wingman Guide Service. Adrian Taylor owns Wingman, and they're located out of the Madoc, Ontario area. I'm a rookie wing shooter, and I wanted to have Adrian on here to teach me some tips on, when the season starts, how I can get involved with maybe shooting some birds this year. Now, my first game animal I've ever physically shot when I first got into hunting was a goose. I can't say that it was a very hard shot because it was almost literally sitting on my face when I pulled the trigger and it dropped like a stone. But there was no skill involved. Later on that fall, I froze my arse off in the middle of December as I went hunting with some friends, and I shot his decoys all to hell. And he's saying it's because of the way I was holding the gun. Now, I got discouraged because I was a rookie shooter. I was new to hunting at the time. We're talking 12, 13 years ago now. And I wanted to have you on here to, maybe teach me, or maybe what guns are good. I hear a lot about chokes. I'm the type of guy that if I'm going to drive somewhere, I just get in my car and go. I'm not a mechanic. I don't try to mess around with that stuff. I know there's a lot of stuff to learn about guns, from shooting to the size of the shell to maybe I was shooting the wrong shell. So I'm hoping you can educate me on that.
Well, I can do my best.
So I shoot an 870 Remington. That's what I shoot. I've always killed my turkeys with that. It's been fantastic that way. But when it comes to shooting ducks, I've heard of a lot of cool stuff like butt, belly, beak, bang. And one guy was watching me shoot, and I'd stop to pull the trigger. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of the birds that could have died didn't because I was maybe behind them. But would it be the gun, or is it because of practice? What would you suggest?
Every time you pull the trigger, the bullets go at the end of the gun the same no matter what, right? So, if someone's watching you and you are stopping as you pull the trigger, that'd be a good indication that, you might be pulling behind it. But then again, all that is practice, right? Like if you're not a seasoned hunter that way, right? Like if you're not out there in the blind shooting clays or anything like that, like consistently, all that is practice.
This is practice. I was talking to Daniel Banting from Ken Cartridge, another good friend of mine that I'll have here as a speaker at some point, and he was saying that I am a very confident long distance shooter. I've shot Wyoming antelope goats, 250 plus yards. I've also shot my biggest buck to date actually at 175 yards with a muzzleloader. And he says because of your habits of concentration and focus on that target, I aim to kill. But I take my time and I put myself in the position where I'm breathing and exercising my lungs and taking that shot clean and ethically. It's completely different, and that's what Dan was saying. He's like, when you're shooting pigeons, clays or whatever, you got to swing properly and keep the flow of the gun. And sometimes the chokes might be a little different. Or I was talking to another guy the other day about Super Black Eagle. I think it's a Benelli. I asked him, I said, well, what if I upgraded my gun? Should I go to a Versamax or something? He says, no, Super Black Eagle all the way. Well, why? Is that because of the brand, or is that because it's just a smooth gun? Like, I don't know anything about that.
Benellis are a great gun, but you're going back to, it's not the gun that'd be a problem there, right? Like that, when you're wing shooting, it's all reaction, right? Like when I pull up on a bird, you don't sit there and think, okay, it's 30 yards ahead of me, it's going 45 miles an hour, there's a 10 kilometer an hour wind.
All that factors in, right?
It's just up point shooting, and all that is just practice. It's something that you learn. It's habits. You get in a good form for shooting and for habits, and all that the calculation part of it goes away. At first, a lot of people you see they focus in on that. They don't even, and when they do that, you watch them and they don't put the gun up to their shoulder properly, or they're looking over top of the barrel, looking at the bird, because you're not supposed to focus in on the bead. You're supposed to watch the bead and the bird at the same time. But it's all.
That's probably why I'm shooting a bunch of decoys. When it comes to land over water, I way more prefer land, just because I'm not moving. I'm not contending with the boat that you're shooting from, or I'm bad enough shot as it is, let alone sit in a boat and try and shoot from a watered position. But when we shot at birds like low, I've hunted Lake Simcoe quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Or not Simcoe, sorry, St. Clair.
Lake St. Clair, yeah.
Lake St. Clair. Gusset's world renowned for big redheads and canvasbacks, and we went down there for canvasbacks, and those like the bluebills coming across the water, and when the guys say jump up and shoot, and I'm shooting like literally almost down on the water as opposed to the bird, and they're saying you're shooting too low, you're shooting too low. And then another time where, I'd try and swing into it and you'd see the splash of the shell across behind the bird. So it's a lot of a challenge. I mean, for a new guy, I'm going to go out with you this fall, hopefully, and I prefer to go on land. I don't know if you shoot both, I'm sure you do.
Oh yeah.
But I'm a much better shot on the ground. But how do you, in regards to, you say it's me, do you say go out in August and practice with your buddies over shells?
You do as much as you can, but you know what? Shooting clay pigeons is one thing. Shooting a duck or a goose is another thing, right? Like, it's just the confidence builder shooting clay pigeons. But you're talking about going out and shooting bluebills over the water. I find that a lot of the people that I've brought out for the first couple times, you know what? Shooting bluebills is a great time to learn how to shoot, because you can get an instant visual on where your pattern's going. If you shoot 4 feet behind them and you're shooting at a goose up in the air, you don't really...
Yeah,
you might see your wad going a little bit, and you can have somebody tell you that. But when you're shooting at a flock of bluebills or a pair of bluebills are coming in, and you can see where the shot's hitting the water, behind it, in front of it, underneath it, as soon as that happens, you can correct yourself. You say, oh, I need to pull another 2 feet ahead of it. And bang, all of a sudden you hit it. And all of a sudden your confidence is going through the roof, and all of a sudden you're hitting birds left, right, and center.
Yeah. I can't say that I've always gone on a fantastic hunt. I went on one hunt it was 2 years ago this fall. I went out with two great friends of mine, Randy Laundrie and Mike Papp, and we were down in the Brantford area. They called it the runway. So we go down to this spot. They stick me with it, I think the farthest shot would have been 30 yards. And they kept yelling, "There he is!" And as they come across the front of me, every single time they're laughing at me from a distance, going, "You're too high, you're too low, you're behind the bird, and then you hit a cripple, and then they're chasing the cripple, and you try and take out the cripple, and we get that, and the dog's getting exhausted because he's out there looking for Steve's bird, but Steve never shot the bird. So I want to be able to go with an experienced guide like yourself, guy that's relatively close. Most of my friends are well over an hour's drive, to go and get to these spots and learn from the guys. I'm going to try, we've got a new product called Quack Stacker Fowl Feed out this year, and I know that a lot of the guys are using it. It is illegal to bait. I am telling this to the viewer. It's illegal to bait and hunt over the spot. But a lot of the guys that I know have what they call sanctuaries, and you're not allowed to kill a bird within 400 yards of a baited location. Yeah. These sanctuaries are either small ponds or creek bottoms or something that they're feeding, and then they're hunting around that area, which seems to be a pretty regular tactic with a lot of these guys that are hunting. Yeah. But I'm going to go with you. Here comes the rookie. I'm going to ask you the type of shell that you recommend, the type of gun that you recommend, and I'd like you to walk me through those steps as a rookie to say, "Hey, Steve, you're shooting too high, shooting too low." Maybe teach me along the way, and then we can have a hunt or a video that we can share with the viewers a little later, so that you can kind of walk me through those steps and what I'm doing wrong, to hopefully encourage other guys to either fix their pose or their size of shell or whichever.
Oh, absolutely. Now, like you said, the first thing, you like hunting on land. That's we'll set up a goose hunt for you, but for the best of recommendation for you for gun, whatever gun fits you the best. You know what? It's like any other kind of hunting. Get the best quality of shell gun that you can afford. With shotguns, it's all about fit, right? What fits good for me is not obviously going to fit good with everybody, depending on length of pull, length of your arms, what body type you are. So the best thing to do is just go to a gun shop, pick up as many of them as you can, and get what fits right.
Yeah.
Now, most of the guns are, they do shoot, depending on, what kind of brand it is, a little different from each one, whether it shoots a little bit high, a little bit low. The only way you're going to find that out is to go out and pattern them yourself. That's the same with choke tubes. Everyone asks what choke tube to use. Well, go get a few of them, try them out of your gun. Whatever gun that you get, they're going to shoot different out of every gun, and depending on what shell you use, they're going to shoot a little bit different for every type of shell. Mm-hmm. For geese, right from day one, right till the end of the season, I shoot number ones. And number ones, just because, if a duck does come in at that time, it's not going to completely blow them all to smithereens if they are a little closer than you expect. And number ones are going to hold the velocity and their power rate till 30, 40 yards, and you're not going to have to worry about, you know.
So one would be a good goose shell.
Yep.
Now, does it matter if it's 2 3/4, 3 inch? Doesn't matter. It's all just same size pellet, correct?
They're all the same size pellet. All it changes is how many pellets are in each load. You know, if you can shoot a 3.5 and you don't mind the extra kick, sure, go 3.5, because it's just going to put that many more pellets in the kill zone for the bird, right? But they've shot 2 3/4 inch for a long time before 3 inch came out, and now 3.5's in. I shoot 3 inch. It's what I'm comfortable with. It's what my gun takes. What it likes. I shoot Kent number ones right from the start of the season right till the end of the season for both ducks and geese.
I got another good friend of mine, Randy, that shoots religiously the Kent Fast Steel. You know, I think he's shooting number 2s for ducks. Is that like he's 2s and 3s, I think.
Yeah.
And you know, would you shoot a goose with that small a number or big a number, I guess?
Yeah. And all that is, it's the size of the pellets, right? So the smaller the pellet, the more pellets are in a shot, but the less velocity they're going to carry down range, right?
Okay.
So early season wood ducks, you're not going to want to shoot them with BBs or number 2 and put great big holes in a little wood duck, right? Because a lot of time you're hunting a small little swale hole or
flooded lumber, you know.
They're in close a lot of time. You hit them with a full stack of BBs, you're going to put a hole right through them, and it's going to be a wasted bird, right? So
not very ethical.
No, and you want to avoid that kind of stuff as much as you can. So like early in the season, the smaller number 6s are great for that kind of stuff. And you put a choke tube in that it's going to allow you to have a nice wide open pattern at 20 yards, because a lot of times that's about as far as you're going to, at least where we hunt. A 20-yard shot is probably about the average shot for us.
Okay.
Whereas, you know, goose hunting, if they're laying in a little short, you're in a big field and they're laying that 40 yards, you know, you want to be able to still put a good ethical shot on them at 40 yards. So
reach out and touch them.
Right. But a lot of times they're right in at 10 yards.
So you're shooting number 1s at a 40-yard goose on the field.
Yeah.
But you're saying change it up, switch to a number 6 for ducks, like smaller ducks, early season wood ducks and stuff.
Yep.
Would you use the same thing on like the bluebills and stuff on water?
No, on bluebills, again, I use number 1s or number 2s usually, just because a lot of times them birds aren't, you know, I like to try and pick out a nice looking bird too, right? That when the bluebills start coming down, we're looking for drakes most of the time, because you'll get a flock of, you know, 30, 40. So you don't want to just go and shoot like for the flocks.
You pick and choose the spot you want to kill.
Around here, you get lots of opportunities at the flocks of bluebills as they come in, right? So you don't need to really just go and shoot for the first bird that comes in every single time. So it makes up for a nice picture. You guys can sit after the hunt's over. Everybody can sit and talk about it, admire the birds. That time of year, people are looking for birds to start getting mounted as well. So the drakes are much nicer for the walls to mount.
Cool. Well, I want to get out early season. I think there's correct me if I'm wrong, is it a 2-week early goose season?
It's a 10-day, yeah. This year it starts on September 10th. It's always, not always, but regularly, it's the Thursday after the Labor Day. It starts and it runs for 10 days.
Okay.
And they extend the bag limit because they're trying to get the resident geese that are around here, because a lot of places close to towns and cities, they're overpopulating.
Well, Chisholm's Lumber right there the other day, they had 10 geese right in the front field.
Yeah. And it's more or less for the parks, right? It's those birds that are coming back and nesting every year in the parks. And, you know, I know.
Do you think it's controlling it? Because everywhere you go, there's all kinds of ridiculous amounts of geese that are in these parks.
I think at least at one point or another, it does control it to a certain point, but it gives us extra opportunities to increase our bag limits. And first thing in the year, not the only thing other than
everybody's got
bear,
the itch to go kill something, right?
Goose is the first thing to open, right? So
our bear season opens 1st of September. I've got 5 guys coming the first week, and after that, I'm open for almost until archery in October, right? Mm-hmm. So you're saying from the 10th of September on, for 10 days, you can go field goose hunting and still have that opportunity to harvest game animals during that time of year. And see, I never even knew. I mean, most of the time I'm just itching for October, and But we'll see if we can switch that up.
And last year too was the first year that they increased. Like before, you could only have so many, like shoot so many birds, and then have them in the freezer, right? So I think it was 3 days worth of.
6, right?
No, 10. You're allowed 10. You're allowed five geese in the regular season, but in the early season, you're allowed 5 additional geese. So around here, you're allowed to shoot 10 a day, and you were only allowed to have, I think, it was 30 in possession before. But they took the possession limit away because after 3 days, if you do go out and hunt every single day, you prep them, get them ready for pepperettes or however. You only eat so many geese in a real short time, or get them away. But so this way, allowed people to keep hunting the entire time so that you can have the most opportunity at helping bring the population down around here.
Yeah. Now, guys that are watching around the Tweed, Madoc, Belleville area, there's a new butcher shop over near Blessington Road, and it's called Seeley's Butcher. It's wild game. You can take all your goose and duck breasts, because I don't particularly like cooking the goose or duck. Maybe again I'm cooking it wrong. We have another chef coming on to chat about how we can prepare that. But you say you want to take, was it 30? You're allowed 30 possession in the freezer?
You were allowed. They took the possession limit off of it.
Okay, so if you got an abundance of the meat, you can go to Matt Seeley and Matt will turn them into pepperettes
and he does make very good pepperettes. I've had them before.
Yeah. We've been taking our deer and bear there for the last 2 years now. But I know he's doing the birds as well now too. So getting back to the hunting side of stuff, the field hunting, from your guide service, what am I hunting over? Like I'm as brand new as it comes. Like I used to hear greenhead gear and there was Bigfoots, and I don't know what it's just brands, I'm sure. But is there certain geese decoys that we'll be hunting over in the field?
Yep, as you see, Tango Free, I'm with them, that decoy company. I'm their Ontario rep.
Okay.
I run all their gear. They've been excellent. Everything. I really got in with them because of their diver decoys. They have for people like yourself that tend to shoot a decoy.
Thanks.
Every once in a while.
Tend to shoot them. Yeah, I shoot them almost regularly.
All their diver decoys are foam filled, so you don't have to worry about halfway through a hunt.
It's not bobbling like this.
Watching them go under, and so that's really why I really got in with them. But they're goose decoys. They got a great selection of goose decoys that are very affordable as well, and durable.
But where can we get them? I mean,
High Falls Outfitter in Belleville. They carry just about everything, and if they don't have them on store, they can order them. They can order them in for you.
Okay, because I'm gonna probably want to get a dozen for myself. I'm assuming that 12 could be just fine for myself or my wife and I to go sit down and set up properly. And
well, and you don't need a big spread for especially early season geese, right? Like there's been lots of times where we've put out 200 decoys, and it's not the best goose hunt around here I ever had. I put up 17 decoys.
Really?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Shot a 5-man limit and
half an hour.
It was the fastest hunt that I've ever had on, and we had 17 decoys out.
That was cool. So I had a dozen. I don't remember what the name of them were. They were huge. Huge. I bought them off my brother-in-law 10 years ago when I first got into the wing shooting side of stuff, and I don't think I hunted over them once. And for me to go out and drop a crap load of money on decoys and know that I may or may not be hunting a year from now just doesn't fly. So having the guide service close to me, I'm able to go out with you, see how it's done properly, hopefully learn a bit about my own shooting and hopefully improve it a bit. And what's the normal cost for a group of guys to go? Like I do entertain a lot of friends in the fall, guys from corporate offices and stuff that come out and hunt with me. If I wanted to entertain 4 guys or 6 guys, is there a limit, and what's the normal price of that?
It's $200 a person, and usually I like to run 4 people. I can accommodate more than that, but depending on, if we're in the boat or in the fields, 4 is a nice, easy number depending on,
So usually what 1 or 2 guides? Or just one?
It's myself, and I have one other guy that comes with me when I need him.
Okay.
For the water hunts, we're out of the boat, so I got a 20-foot crest liner John with a beaver tail blind on it that flips right over top of us, so you're nice and concealed in. I got heaters in the boat, so you stay nice and warm, on them cold November days in December once it starts getting cold.
I'll never forget the day I took a hand-me-down duck hunting jacket, and I bet you the guy wore it like every day of the season since he was young, and I thought it was cool. You know, sentimental value. I'll get this jacket. It's got to be good. And I went out and I froze my ass off.
And nothing ruins a hunt faster than being cold.
I'm a skinny guy, man, and I don't have a lot of meat behind me, and that literally shut me off any type of snow hunting. And he was telling me about like belly crawling through this field to shoot a pintail in the middle of, because pintails aren't known to be around the snow and stuff, or up this way. And I said, it'd be a cold day in hell. You'd see me trying to go after a duck through the snow. It's just not my game. But I went out and bought a really good suit, and which has allowed me to go out and do some late season duck hunting. But it's important to stay warm. And I went down to Sinclair, I want to say about 3 years ago, and it was a late season hunt trying to get into the cans, and we stayed warm in those blinds. Out in the water, and I was scared the hell of it because I didn't want to freeze. But the guide that has all the gear is the one you want to go with. And
duck hunting is a very social sport, right? Like, you're not sitting in the woods by yourself trying to be quiet.
Yeah.
You're sitting beside your buddy, you're jabbing, you're poking fun, you're talking, and all of a sudden birds are there, and you get up and you take a shot, you get it, you laugh about things. Like, so if you're cold and miserable, it can ruin a hunt just like
pretty quick. Yeah, pretty quick. And I mean, having those guys out there to laugh and joke and carry on. I mean, everybody wants to kill birds, but I've been on hunts before where, for instance, I went to Long Point there 2 years ago. We had to bust through the ice to get to where we were going. We had to jump out in our waders and walk like 40 yards and smash all the ice and clear the water and then set the decoys up. Never seen a bird. For me to drive 4.5 hours and never see a bird, that's hunting. But it was the 4 guys, or 3 guys, there was 4 of us in total, that laughing and joking and carrying on and like you say, the poking and the prawing at each other, and the past stories is what really makes the hunt. So I'm looking forward to learning from you guys. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to go out to your place like I would go to anywhere else. And I need you to be a critic and tell me what I'm doing wrong. Yep. Because I'm going to rely on you to, no different than if you were to come deer hunting with me. I'll tell you what you're doing wrong, and if you want to kill deer, I can make it happen. But I need you to do the same for ducks, because I'll bring my shells that I currently have that I've been shooting with for years that has never been successful, and I'll bring the gun I'm never successful with, and you can tell me what you think. So for now, we're going to let Adrian go. Join us on part 2, where we're going to have Wingman Guide Service take myself and potentially 1 or 2 other friends out for a hunt. And I want you to be that critic. Tell me what I'm doing wrong so we can improve the hunt. Thanks for joining us on Homegrown Hunter TV. I appreciate you being here. Thanks, Adrian.
Thanks, Steve.
Take care.
You too.